Hi, I'm Dick Wagner. Welcome to the Crest Network, another 10-minute short video on some sales ideas. This particular one is body language sales mistakes. Yes, we all make them. I've made them, you've made them, but body language is extremely important in the sales world because we can do something as simple as cross our arms, and it implies something very negative to the potential customer. Did you know that people form impressions about you and others somewhere between 7 and 30 seconds, depending on who you talk to and what you read? Whether it's 7 seconds or even 60 seconds. That's not a very long time for people to really know what kind of a person you are. And so, as they're making that decision, and often it is in just a few seconds, they're forming opinions about you based on not only what you say, but your body language. When you have the wrong body language, it creates a negative impression about you even before you speak. So you're coming through the door of an insurance agent office and you haven't spoken to anybody yet, and it might be 10, 12, 15 seconds by the time you come down the sidewalk, come in the front door, and walk up to the front desk. And that's a lot of time for that customer service rep or that insurance agent standing there to make a decision simply whether they like you or not, based on how you carry yourself, how you walk, your arm position, the way you put one foot in front of the other, believe it or not, has a bearing on whether they like you or whether they don't. It goes way, way beyond the traditional handshake and the smile that you put on your face. And if you're really not happy and you put a smile on your face that's fake, very, very likely it can, just that simple fake smile can kill your sales opportunity because people are so in tune to body cues and the words you say, if they dovetail properly with the look on your face or the smile on your face or the fake smile on your face. As I mentioned just a few minutes ago, simply standing there crossing your arms in front of your client tells your client what? It tells your client that you're arrogant, that you're disinterested, that you're superior. And if you're sitting and you're crossing your legs, it says the same thing when you have been brought into a meeting and invited to sit down. Crossing your legs can imply that you're negative or that you're not open and you're not cooperative. So we have to be really careful and think through how we act, the body language that we portray. Raising your chin. Oh, I've seen people do this. Not a lot. Look at the guy in the picture. He's raising his chin, but not a lot. Just fractionally. But when you do that, people can see it, they sense it, they immediately form a decision. And usually the decision that they're forming is they're thinking, well, he or she thinks they are superior. Other clashing body cues: putting one foot out the door. Now, I don't mean literally where you have put your foot in between the door and the jamb, like the picture of this person in sneakers. It could be that you simply turned sideways a little bit. You've turned not even your whole body, but maybe just your torso, your upper body, or your shoulder. That can tell people that there's a problem with your body language that isn't consistent with the words that you're saying. Even by standing there and turning a foot out away from yourself and away from them can be a very, very subtle body cue about whatever you're saying isn't consistent with how you're acting or positioning yourself. Check this out. This is a perfect picture of two people that don't trust each other. I'm letting you look. I'm not saying a word for just a second. It doesn't matter whether you liked President Obama or whether you like Putin. It doesn't matter. The fact that there is a lack of eye contact says a lot. To me and to most people, and the reason why this picture was snapped and put out on the web is because it shows either a lack of interest by either one of them, or, and maybe also, it shows a very likely a bit of dishonesty, or maybe from the conversation they just had, a bit of lying took place. But lack of eye contact demonstrates a lack of interest, or it demonstrates dishonesty. And those are two things that you don't want to convey. It reminds me of one of the Big Bang Theory shows where one of the actors was staring at the other person without blinking. I believe it was Stewart that owns the body or the comic book store. He would stare unblinkingly for minutes, and that also is not natural. That's uncomfortable. That's just weird. So there's a happy medium. There's an appropriate amount of time, but flat out when there isn't any eye contact, that's a serious issue. Also, and we've all done this, we've all been guilty of this, the constant fidgeting. Our feet bobbing up and down, or our foot tapping up and down, or standing, swaying back and forth. I've caught myself doing this in public speaking events, not because I was saying the opposite of what I meant or felt, or that my body wasn't conveying what I was trying to convey. It's one of those sloppy habits that we all can engage in. And so even those of us that do public speaking have to be very careful that we don't do things like swaying back and forth or waving our arms and our hands constantly, because it's a distraction. It's unnerving. It's irritating to people. And then have you ever sat in a conference meeting or with one or more people where somebody, hopefully it wasn't you, was tapping their fingers on the desk, or tapping their pencil or pen, or clicking their pen in, out, in, out, in, out. It just drives you stark raving mad. That is a body cue that is clashing with what you should be saying. Try to eliminate those from your actions. Looking at your watch, checking the clock the time on the wall or looking at your cell phone are all disrespectful. They demonstrate to the other person that whatever's going on at that moment isn't as important as checking the time or looking at your cell phone. That's just how people perceive it. And even though you really meant and cared about what the other person's saying, much of our lives are connected to our cell phone. And when it buzzes, when it beeps, when it vibrates, we instinctively pick it up and look at it. And we have to get out of that habit or get in the habit of turning it off while we're in an important meeting. Clashing body cues and the words that you're saying that aren't dovetailing, they're not matching up, is something that you constantly have to be thinking about. Every one of us wants to make a good impression, whether we're talking with a client, whether we're speaking publicly, even when we're interacting with our boss or a fellow employee. Regardless of our title or our position, we want to make a good impression. And so when your body is saying one thing and your words are saying another, there's a very good chance that you're making a poor impression. So try to be like this picture on this slide, be a 10. Try really hard to implement some of these suggestions that I've brought you about body language sales mistakes. I'm Dick Wagner. Thanks for watching the Crest Network. I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.